Today we will be taking a bit more of a deep dive into the XRPL and how their patents around ODL and then rebranding to just concentrating on XRP again, as I explained in my recent video, which I will include a link in the description as well. And I want to talk about the patents, the connection to what could possibly be the start of an SEC lawsuit, and then talk about some recent things with the Liquidity Hub expansion that I think could be very important to what not only Ripple is doing right now and the moves that they have made, but how that ties into how XRP itself now is really set up to be a competitive for, or it's a competitor for the current Swift system and many other applications as well, like in derivatives and other things that we have seen announced as well. So I want to highlight utility for the win here. I have followed this account, and there's a lot of information there. So the patented RippleNET ODL, what's the actual end game here? So there's two patents. Why are they important? Cross-medium versus cross-border transactions. Was the SEC lawsuit actually intended to prevent this from happening? And why has Ripple pivoted from ODL to XRP? I guess first off, if you go on Google Patents and just copy and paste each of those in here, you can read through the whole thing. So I will include a link to each of these in here as well. But let's just begin here. So the first US patent is for network computing system that that is implementing on-demand liquidity for cross-medium transactions. It was filed in February of 2020, and it was granted in January of 21. So it is a computing system that can facilitate cross-medium transactions through the use of a digital currency. The system can provide a guaranteed exchange rate and manage customer pools of liquidity in order to align them with a guaranteed exchange rate. So what is the ODL according to the patent? Put simply, it's I just read that. Okay. So a computing system is provided herein as that it will leverage the use of a digital currency and a distributed ledger, e.g., decentralized and distributed ledger as well. I don't believe that XRP is a centralized asset. Yes, they are in control of it, but it doesn't have to be proof of work to not be centralized. It just means that there are enough people and institutions and entities involved that no one person has enough control to affect the actual system overall. So this system is meant to replace the need for clearinghouses and or nostro vostro accounts, along with acting as an RTGS system, which is a real-time gross settlement system. I'm sure you probably heard it if you're into XRP, but nostro vostro accounts are essentially accounts that have to have a cash balance on hand in order to conduct any transactions out of them. So you essentially have to park enough cash in an account to be able to send that. Well, if you use something like XRP, then you don't have to essentially have cash that is not being used to earn a return. So therefore, it opens up cash to do a lot of other things. What is important to note is that this system is not only meant for cross-currency transactions, but cross-medium, which is the transfer of commodities, other digital assets, bonds, stocks, and securities. Use cases covered by the system in this patent not only include financial institutions, but it also includes those that may not be associated with any financial institution, which can mean individuals who are providing liquidity that can earn a return off of that, because you are contributing to the processing of all of those transactions. If you use ODL for cross-medium transactions, it also extends to services provided via PCs, smartphones, all of this other stuff, right? So that itself has a very large implication of what kind of a magnitude we are talking about here. With this patent, Ripple has the legal right to process all transactions that use a digital currency and a ledger for cross-medium transactions. Again, they have patented the most efficient method of processing cross-medium transactions. So here's a couple of examples that don't really mean much until you actually open up the patent itself. But here I think is the most helpful one, where it talks about how it can come from all of these different sources into the network or the networks, and then into the transaction computing system itself. So in my opinion, all the world's future value will likely be found on the DLT. This means that Ripple has positioned RippleNet to be the global clearinghouse for all cross-medium transactions. No other entity has the legal right to use a digital currency and ledger for this purpose. Now, that's a very large implication there. However, there are some practical and realistic things that can always be worked around with other patents being a little bit different if they use a different algorithm and things like that. However, the interesting thing is that the patent is on the actual process. So at this point, some are saying, but if it's only a US patent, it doesn't mean anything to the rest of the world, which is right. But this is where the world patent, which the WO is a patent under the WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, which is essentially a worldwide patent, right? And you can see it here, and then it's also on this other screen here, which is the patent that we just talked about, which is only in the US, right? So Ripple has the patent, but there was one piece that they didn't have. It's that the patent is ambiguous and does not mention a specific ledger and digital currency. They needed a non-security that was fast and efficient, but their premier asset, which is XRP, was unclear because of a lawsuit. Coincidentally, just weeks before the patent was approved, the SEC filed a lawsuit. We have the US patent filed in February of 20, the world patent filed in December. SEC lawsuit was 1 week after that world patent was actually filed. Then each of the patents was actually granted in January of 21. So Ripple seems to have moved away from the ODL branding. And I talked about this in that the video about the XLM announcement and how I thought that that correlated to what XRP has done and why I think it is important. So I surmise this is because they no longer need to be ambiguous about what asset would be their main workhorse in this patent. XRP is the only digital asset officially declared a non-security. So what happens now? With Ripple having the keys to the kingdom of cross-medium transactions, I speculate that things will start to move quickly. But as soon as the big players are using digital assets or as currency, they will gravitate to the cheapest and most efficient clearinghouse. I doubt that Ripple will replace these huge entities like the clearinghouse, CME Group, or Swift anytime soon. However, I would bet that they would become RippleNet members in order to make their services more efficient and more appealing as the world economy transitions into a crypto infrastructure. So Ripple cannot onboard the entire world. They will require a massive network of cooperation to adopt. In line with cooperation, on July 31st, Ripple was placed on a list of financial infrastructures on a BIS task force for cross-border interoperability, which I will talk about next, actually. Although the news of the patent is a few years old, okay, that's fine, it is still evolving, especially now that XRP is officially not a security. All right, so there's a lot of information in here. I would highly suggest to go check this out. Now we're talking about Anders X. I follow him. I have been for a while now. The BIS released a report named The Future Monetary System, where they went into detail about their opinion on crypto assets. So essentially, they identified the good things and the bad about a crypto infrastructure and how a lot of the proof of stake systems actually work. Meaning that crypto assets rely on monetary rewards for validators to achieve consensus. What they never mentioned in the 2022 report is that there are few exceptions, which are XRP and XLM, where no monetary rewards are used to achieve consensus. XRP is the only crypto asset in the top 10 where this actually applies. So in July 31st of 2023, which is what I just talked about, the BIS included Ripple in its cross-border payments interoperability and extension task force, since they are the only participant with a public jurisdictionless crypto asset, even though there are other participants that are focused on distributed ledger technology. So we just explained that Ripple has patented the entire process and that they are one of the only two assets that the Bank of International Settlements has called out as being able to work in a quote-unquote non-incentivized system, which is the only large-scale option if you really want to use a crypto network to conduct these kinds of transactions, which I thought was very significant because July 31st of 2023 was only a month and a half ago. So then this led me into the fact that we have Ripple expanding its Liquidity Hub into a $5 trillion market with further acquisitions and infrastructure expansion. And experts are beginning to view XRP as the future global bridge currency for international trade. And if you go into this article here, we have some things, some announcements from Ripple and everything. But what is liquidity in crypto, right? So liquidity ensures that value is readily available when and where it's needed to satisfy customer requirements that are conducting transactions. This simple principle is quite intricate, especially when dealing with unpredictable crypto assets that can change value in seconds. To put it in perspective, think of a giant like Amazon, which offers a seamless shopping experience. It's only able to work because they are transacting in a single currency where they are able to predict everything in terms of prices. This challenge what Ripple was trying to address, and it was designed to streamline Ripple's internal payments. So what is the advantage of the Ripple Liquidity Hub? It is so there are new regions being onboarded. They have broadened their asset support. They have added USDC and USDT, which of the two of those, I think that Tether is extremely sketchy, and USDC seems much better regulated and controlled. Now that does have to do a lot with the same people over at Ethereum, so I don't really keep anything in a USD pegged asset. I just hold assets, but as I begin to do more in this space, there will be a need for at least a certain amount of exposure into those. But an essential facet of liquidity management is the ease of transition between fiat and crypto. Ripple is trying to construct a network of on and off ramps via Ripple payments. Today, they have a connection to 70 countries, covering an astonishing 90% of the daily FX market volume, almost 5 trillion in volume every day. Given these strides, they are in an undeniable position as a dominant force in the crypto world. And of course, there's some talk about XRP price. XRP price will only go up when people see that it is the asset or one of the assets, and they're truly able to see how valuable it is. And when there's more and more value on these, on the actual XRPL, that will inherently make XRP more and more valuable as well. Especially when all of these very large institutions buy enough XRP for themselves to be able to make all of these transactions, where they are themselves holding a significant chunk of the available XRP, which means that not as much XRP is out there in circulation. If it's in higher demand, then the price will eventually increase. Now, I am talking about price just to portray how the supply and demand here works, especially as a result of all of these huge things that we just talked about. But that's not financial advice, of course. It's just how supply and demand actually works. So I know that that was a pretty deep dive, and I read a lot of things, and if I have to read exact words off of a script, then I have a lot harder time and I stutter more. But I appreciate everyone hanging in there, and I hope that you are able to see the truly massive implication of what Ripple has done, all of their acquisitions, like Fortress Trust, for example, that has helped position themselves as a to work better in this area, because that is a company that concentrates on custodial services, which makes it regulatorily compliant to be able to conduct large scale cross-border, cross-medium transactions at the institutional height. So I talked a lot today, but I think it was really interesting. I was extremely happy that I could piece a couple of different things together that not only show what the potential is, but how it's actually happening with people like the Bank of International Settlements, and how it's expanding with the Liquidity Hub to actually act on not only that potential, but its current applications and its partnerships and all of the different organizations that they have been working with for a long time now.